Hey, YouTube, Prof Sales, and I'm here to talk about selling on eBay and Amazon and which one do I think is the best for a beginner. I have some strong feelings about this, as I'm sure many of you watching do too. And if you are someone who sells on eBay or Amazon, I definitely want to hear from you either in the comments or in the chat of this video as it's live at the moment. But this topic has been a topic in the reselling community for a long time. This idea of should you sell on eBay or Amazon, especially if you're a beginner. And I think it's a valid subject to keep talking about because there's a lot of pros and cons to both of these platforms. And if you're thinking about starting a side hustle or a part-time gig or even becoming full-time on one of these platforms, you definitely need to consider some things. But just very quickly, my name is Jason, otherwise known as Prof Sales, and this is my channel about selling on Amazon primarily. So obviously I have some bias for Amazon, but I have sold on eBay for many years and still sell on eBay, just not as much as I used to. And I am here to talk to you about all the things I learned on my journey, and hopefully you can learn from my journey and all the tips and tricks that I've picked up over the years, and just, be able to be a resource for you. So hopefully you guys can hear me okay in the chat. I see James, I see Wendy in there. Thanks for stopping by today, guys. If you haven't been here before, then just like every other channel, like and subscribe if you like the content. Leave me a thumbs up as well. If you don't like it, leave me a thumbs down. If you got feedback, put that in a comment, and I'll be glad to answer it if I can, as long as you're respectful. And I like feedback. It makes me a better reseller, makes me a better YouTuber, makes me a better person. So, all right. So let's get into this. eBay and Amazon have both been around for roughly the same amount of time now, around 25 years. And they have both evolved over that time frame, but there's been some key differences for each platform for sellers since almost day one. And a lot of people who get into reselling, they tend to start with eBay. I think that's probably accurate. I'm not sure all the reasons, but I think I may be able to know some of them. That is exactly what I did as well. Although I actually started with Amazon very early on too, not as early as eBay, like officially starting really about 6 years ago. But eBay is one that seemingly just seems to grab people right out of the gate. I think a lot of people are used to, buying things off of eBay, at least in the past. Amazon obviously has caught up very quickly. And there seems to be a lot more people on Amazon these days buying on Amazon than there is on eBay. I don't think there's any doubt about there's more volume that goes through Amazon than eBay. But eBay is still a huge player, and there's a lot of differences between eBay that make it a good fit for sellers and buyers alike. So let's talk about these two platforms a little more in depth. And I see that James said he's been selling since 1998. Man, that's a long time, James. So you've seen everything. So be glad to hear your feedback on this. Let's talk about eBay first. So why do people get started on eBay? Why, especially beginners, and what does that mean for you if you are a beginner? And if you are already selling on it, as you can see below, leave me a question about it, or leave me a comment about it. I'd be glad to hear it. All right, so eBay is really easy to get started with. And we know this because so many people seem to have this as your gateway drug. Maybe that's not the right term, but your gateway entry into e-commerce for a lot of people is eBay. I think it's easy for a few different reasons. It's easy to register and set up an account on eBay. They just require the same basic information that most places do, right? Your name, your address, all your particulars. You're going to have to give them some bank account info. For a lot of years, it's been PayPal, but now eBay has gone to manage payments. So you can get the payments directly to you, which is nice. That has been the last, I guess, probably a couple years. I don't know if that's exact time frame. How do you get started on eBay? Well, listing stuff for a lot of people on eBay, I think a lot of people got started by listing items that they found in their house, things they had bought and then no longer needed, no longer wanted, and decided to sell on eBay. That's a great way to get started on eBay. It's really, really simple. You know the items, you know what you paid for them, you know if there's any flaws or defects, and it's easy to get started. eBay requires you to take photos and create unique listings. So if we're all selling, this pen, then I just did a little Wolf of Wall Street there, huh? If we're all selling this pen, then I'm going to take a photo of mine. You're going to take a photo of yours. And even though it's the same pen, I have a unique listing and you have a unique listing. Maybe mine has a different feature than yours. Maybe mine's a little more worn than yours. eBay allows you to sell new as well as pre-owned. And there's a lot of options on eBay in terms of payouts regarding shipping, regarding handling times, and so on. Actually, I'm giving you that as an information tidbit, but I think to be fair, the shipping options and payout and handling options can be a little bit overwhelming on eBay, in my opinion, for somebody who's brand new. Somebody who's been doing this a while, no big deal. You know how to create your own shipping plans and so on. Not shipping plans, but your own shipping. I can't think of the word I'm looking here for. The way in which you ship and your handling time and so on. Your policies, that's the word. So you're able to do that pretty quickly, what sort of payments you want. But you have to put that on each and every listing. You have to put, it has this payment options, it has these shipping options, has these handling options, and you can streamline some of that and have that default to certain things. That's what a lot of people do. But a lot of beginners don't know at the beginning, and I see a lot of beginners still get caught up in, how much it costs to ship, and they misinterpret the amount of weight something is or how long it's going to take to get there. They screw up the handling time, and they make a lot of mistakes around those items, those types of policies and so on. But eBay does give you a lot of flexibility around those, which is nice. You need to manage your shipping supplies with eBay. You need to have boxes. You need to have tissue paper, probably, depending on what you sell. You need to have maybe bubble mailers or poly bags. You need to have shipping tape. Some people get into cardboard resizers and resizing boxes and so on. Depends on how deep down that rabbit hole you want to go. Obviously, you need somewhere to take good photos. Can you sell items on eBay with crappy photos? Yes, you can. Lots of people do. But a good photo is going to sell your item probably faster and for more money, just all things considered. Because remember, everybody's competing against the other listings of that same item. So yours is unique to you and what you do in terms of your photos. To figure out how much to sell something for eBay, well, I should probably back up and say there's different ways to sell on eBay. There's auction, there's buy it now, there's good till canceled sales. You just put a price up there. You can take best offers on items. A lot of eBay items are new now. Actually, I believe it's still the majority of items on eBay are new. They're not pre-owned. They're not used anymore. So you have a lot of options there, but researching how much to sell something for is tedious on eBay. And most people, when they're getting into the eBay selling game and someone's telling, and they're saying, well, how much, do I sell this scanner for? You're going to get answers something along the lines of, well, here's what you need to do. You need to go in and type in that scanner's make and model. I don't remember who made this one. And this one was Terra. Terra was the name of that. You're going to need to go in there and research Terra and put that in and say handheld scanner. You need to find the exact ones. And then you're going to need to sort that by completed and sold listings to see what this actually sold for, and then kind of look at that over a time frame. Now, this item is probably not really seasonal, but some items are. Obviously, items right now for Halloween are selling very, very quickly. If it's probably you've even missed that time frame by this point for a lot of cases. But 2 weeks from now, a lot of those items won't sell at the same velocity because Halloween will be over. So you need to consider that sometimes, depending what the item is. And researching all that is very tedious. It's not easy, intuitive to do, especially when you're first starting out. And a lot of people on eBay make the simple mistake of they say, oh, it says this scanner is listed for $25. I see one listed. I'm going to list mine for $25. Then they don't realize that the one listed is new. Then they don't realize that none have sold for $25. None have sold for more than $13. And because they didn't go in, all they did is they just researched the title and they just saw the listings that popped up. So you got to go a little deeper in the research. And eBay is not very user friendly for a lot of that stuff. You literally have to go through and just kind of look. There are some tools that have been out there over the years to help you do more research in eBay prices. But again, it's tricky because for a long time, eBay did not have the UPCs and the direct info for these type items. So if you typed in Terra handheld scanner, you might get 6 different models. And you need to figure out, well, is this the newest version? Is this the right color? You need to do all that research. eBay has gotten better in the last few years because UPCs have started making their way on the platform. So you can look up things by UPC now and find the exact item. But in the past, it was very easy to make the mistake of just, oh, it's a Terra scanner and you list it for $35. You even realize that that was a whole different scanner than the one you had. Or you listed against one. You said, oh, I'm going to sell one similar, and didn't realize that wasn't the exact one you had either. Now you're sending the wrong item to somebody, which is going to cause you a problem with your account. So researching on eBay is still tricky to do. It's kind of an art and a science for people really good at it. And the last thing I want to say about eBay is that the sales velocity on eBay is slower. Now, that's not to say that you can't list an item on eBay. I've got a quantity of 100 of them and you sell out in 3 days. Of course you can. If you have a very hot item that's a very quick seller, you can. But the problem is you don't know that it's a very quick seller without looking at all those solds and completed listings. And again, that's kind of an estimation. You're kind of looking at the counts and saying, all right, over the last 100 completed listings, 80 of them sold. So that's a pretty quick sell through. But over what time? Or that's a pretty good sell through. But over what time frame? And how much did they sell for? And how profitable was it? You don't know all that very easily with eBay. So, and because sales velocity is lower than some of the other platforms like Amazon, you're kind of playing a little bit more of a guessing game, which tends to change the way you source items for eBay. So that's kind of a brief overview of eBay. I'm sure I've probably left some things out too, but like I was saying before, if you've got a comment about that, what do you like or dislike about it? Leave that in the chat. I'd like to hear it, or in the comment later. But I sold a lot of pre-owned items on eBay over the years. They were mainly pre-owned items, and I looked for just commodity type items, and that's why I sold jeans, because jeans were a commodity based item. You can pick them up for $2, $3, $4 and sell them for 15, 16, 17, 18, sometimes 20. And make 100% ROI, 125% ROI, not great money, honestly, for the amount of time and effort, but it wasn't a game that was easy to build velocity in. You would, to list, a few thousand listings of pre-owned jeans on eBay it is a grind, because you're going to take photos of every single one of them, and you've got to make sure you get it's the right manufacturer and the right particular model and fit and size and color and all those things. And that is hard to do. And you got to accurately describe the condition of it if there are any issues with it. So I found that was a very difficult business to scale. And it felt more like a hobby than it did even a side gig, a side hustle, or a job. So I eventually moved away from that model. And that's what landed me with Amazon. So let's talk about Amazon. Amazon's got some pros and cons as well here. So Amazon is a different animal because Amazon is interested in volume. Amazon is not interested in a bunch of singular listings. It's interested in moving items quickly because Amazon makes money when they get paid fees and so on. And they get paid fees when they create sales. Yes, there are storage fees, but Amazon's not making the bulk of their money on storage fees. I mean, storing items in big buildings that you're paying leases on is expensive. If you don't think it is, then I will challenge you. Go buy 10,000 items you want to sell over the next year and rent a storage space to sell them. Unless they're incredibly quickly moving, you're going to find that a greater and greater chunk of, or a decent, not a greater and greater, but a decent chunk of your money each month is eaten up just by that storage cost, the cost of the warehouse, the cost of power, all those things. So Amazon is not in the business of building, $300 million buildings all over the place and trying to, bilk sellers out of a lot of storage fees. They want to turn inventory in those buildings, which means they're about volume, which is a whole different approach for most sellers. So one of the first decisions you'll have to make is to register for a pro account or not on Amazon. I would say that most people, when they start, are probably not going to get a pro account. A pro account costs $40 a month. And if you don't sell at least 40 items a month, then you should just stick with the basic account. The reason? Because Amazon charges you a $1 fee for each item you sell if you're not a pro, if you're not an Amazon pro. So at $40, it basically equalizes. If you sell 40 items a month, that would have been $40 you would have paid out. If you've got the seller account, you wouldn't have had to pay that $40. So that's kind of the cutoff. Pro account gives you a lot of other features too, but that's beyond kind of the scope of this video. There's two different ways to sell on Amazon. The first way is just like eBay. Merchant fulfilled, they call it, fulfilled by merchant, FBM, MFN. You'll hear all these terms kind of interchangeably. But basically all it means is you go on to Amazon and find your item. Let's say it's the scanner. And this Tiva scanner or Terra scanner is on there, and you see that it's brand new. And you have it brand new in the box. You've never used it. You got to be careful about condition on Amazon. And you say, well, I'm going to sell this, but I'm going to ship it from home. So you will go on, you will find the exact one. And if you had this still in the box, you could just scan your UPC and probably find this on Amazon with the same UPC and say, that's the one. Everything's the same. Here's what it's selling for, merchant fulfilled. And the difference is all the sellers are on the same listing. It's called an ASIN, Amazon Stock Identifier Number, which basically means every single person that's selling the scanner is on that same listing. So, and there can be people with different conditions of items too. There could be new, there could be very good, there could be good, used. But let's say yours is new. And so you'll go on and you'll list it and you'll put in, this is my shipping charge. If you're charging shipping to your buyer, you can set shipping policies just like eBay, and you will store the item in your home. And then when the item sells, you will package it up, you will ship it to the customer, and you'll upload all the tracking. So actually, if you buy the shipping through Amazon, it uploads the tracking for you, just like on eBay. And it's basically very similar to how eBay is. And lots of people have merchant fulfilled businesses that they do on Amazon and do very, very well on. But you've got to do some of the same things you do with eBay. Now, you don't have to create a new listing. You don't have to take photos. That's different. But you do have to store the item. You have to keep shipping supplies. You have to handle the customer service with the buyer when they buy your scanner, because now you are the seller. Amazon is facilitating the transaction by the marketing and handling the payments and all that, but you are still the seller. So you have to deal with any customer inquiries, with returns, yada, yada, yada. But otherwise, it's very similar to eBay in a lot of ways. The other major way that most sellers sell on Amazon, and most items are, I believe, I'm correct in saying that, is what's called FBA, which is fulfilled by Amazon. Everything else is the same except for what you do with the item once you list it. With fulfilled by Amazon, you will create a shipping plan to Amazon and you will ship them this scanner. Probably you will ship more than just the scanner because it wouldn't be very economical just to ship it. But you will ship it. Amazon will give you a shipping discount at UPS or FedEx. It's very, very generous, much better than you can get on your own. And you will ship it to Amazon, and they will distribute it to a warehouse of their choosing. And it will sit there, and it will charge you storage fees for something like this. This would probably cost you about 2 cents a month. They will charge you storage fees until the item sells. Once the item sells, Amazon will package it up, put it in a box, deal with the customer, get the payment info, and then take out the fees, which there are more fees because remember, you're paying them to fulfill it. You are essentially, Amazon is becoming your prep and ship center at that point for a lot of intents and purposes. And they're also handling the customer service on the back end. You don't deal with the customer service on the back end when you do FBA. That's a nice bonus perk as well. And Amazon will ship it to the customer and make sure it gets to them and make sure you get your payment every 2 weeks. So that's the difference with FBA. Now, that probably sounds amazing to all of you if you've never dealt with FBA before on Amazon, but it doesn't come without its pitfalls. One of the pitfalls is it's more expensive. So now let's say that you could sell this merchant fulfilled for $15. very good shape. This is not new, but it's very good. And you could sell it for $15, and maybe you could even charge shipping to the customer to the point where you didn't lose any money on the shipping. This is very light. It's under pounds. So it could go first class. So it would cost you about $4 to ship it. But maybe you even charge a customer and you break even on that. So you get the full $15. If you ship this to Amazon, well, now you don't get the full $4. You don't get the shipping fee. You don't charge a shipping fee, and you don't get a shipping fee from the customer. And it would probably cost you the equivalent of about 10 or 15 cents to ship this to Amazon, assuming you had a bunch of other items in the batch as well. And Amazon will store it. Let's say they store it for a month, so it costs you a couple pennies. So now you sell it for $15 on Amazon, on FBA. But Amazon charges you $4 as a pick and pack fee, because they're going to charge you money for somebody to pick this up, put it in a box, send it, prep, blah, 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 or a robot to go pick it up, whatever. So, you're not going to get the same amount of money back, but you didn't have to spend time. You didn't have to create a storage space for it. You didn't have to spend your time and shipping supplies, shipping it, and you didn't have to deal with the customer. What is that worth to you? It's worth something. I don't know if it's worth $4, and that's probably the pick and pack fee of this might be $4. It might be actually a little lower because it's pretty small. It might be about three something. But it'll be something. It'll be more than it would be if you you could argue, well, I could pack and ship this for less than $3 of my own time. And you're right. You could do that. However, you are then on the hook for making sure it gets to the customer right. You are on the hook with dealing with the customers if they have an issue. I don't deal with customers as an FBA seller. When customers have an issue with any of my products, I refer them to Amazon, who fulfilled it, and Amazon takes care of it. That's a nice perk. It doesn't come up that often, but it does come up. So, they'll say, I never received this. Talk to Amazon. I don't have anything to do with it. Like, Amazon got it for me, and then Amazon sent it to them. They didn't get it. And usually they'll resolve it somehow. There's also, so there are more fees with Amazon, no question. There's also what's called a race to the bottom, because we're all listing this scanner. So I've got it for $15, and we'll say James Caldwell, who says Amazon is so much easier than eBay. I just gave up on eBay. Listing new items is so simple. Yep. So James is listing this for $14.99. Curses, James. How dare you? So James is listing this for $14.99, and he's going to get what's called the buy box. Now, most of you, if you haven't really gotten into Amazon, you probably don't know what the buy box is. The buy box is usually a listing that is the, shall we say, the promoted listing at the moment for this item. Amazon takes one of the sellers and promotes their item as like the first item that people see when you log in. You say, oh, I want to buy that. And it'll say, oh, it's from James. And you don't know who James is, but you don't care. You think it's coming from Amazon. But James is like the only listing shows up. And then somewhere down the screen, it'll say other sellers from, and it'll have prices and so on. Well, James, a lot of times will get that buy box because he's got $14.99 and I've got for $15. And Amazon says, hey, we're about giving customers the best deal possible. So James is willing to sell for $14.99. We're going to reward him with the buy box. And that means he's going to get more sales. And you do. The buy box equates to more sales for sure. But then I see that, or my repricer, and that's a subject for a whole other video, sees it and says, no such luck, James. I'm going to price mine at $14.98. You're not going to get the sale for 1 penny over me. And then meanwhile, Mark Possoff, who just came in, his repricer comes in and says, I'm going to sell it for $14.97. And now he gets the buy box. And what ends up happening is what's called the race to the bottom. And all of a sudden, all three of us, or four of us, wake up one day and we're all selling this thing for $7. And the only person making any money is Amazon. So that can happen with items. And there are ways to prevent that and to not be that penny dropper, as people like to call them, that race to the bottom. But it can happen, and it does happen. You do tend to see prices decline over time with a lot of items on Amazon. So you need to sell them and get them gone and be done. I will say, too, that the third-party integrations on Amazon are much better than eBay. What do I mean by third-party integrations? I mean products that tell you how much things have been selling for on Amazon? What sort of sales velocity? How many of them have been selling? Are you going to get IP complaints? Is there going to be a brand that if you sell this Terra scanner, Terra, I don't know if that's who it makes it, but I think it is. Are they going to come on the listing and say, hey, you can't sell it? That's a counterfeit. Well, it's not a counterfeit, but they're trying to keep you from selling it so they can kind of corner their own market. There's tools that allow you to do all that are available on Amazon that for the large part are not available on eBay. Now, eBay doesn't have quite the same issue with intellectual property complaints, but there are some, and they have a system called the Vero system. I'm not going to get into all that either, but suffice it to say, like all these third-party integrations and repricers, that's a huge one. Repricers allow you to see that buy box and adjust your price given the criteria you put in. Well, I'll go up to this price. I won't go below this price. If this happens, do this. And that allows you, those repricers allow you to do all this repricing even without you being present. Like it allows you to automate. It allows you to automate your marketing is the way I look at it. Like if you think about it, like if you're selling, think of it this way. Say you own a gas station on a four-way corner, right? And there's 4 gas stations, yours and 3 others. And you're all selling unleaded at, I don't know, whatever unleaded gas is now, $3.10 a gallon, what? $3.15. Some of you West Coasters will be like, what? Where are we getting this cheap gas? But let's say I've got mine at $3.10 and yours changes to $3.09 overnight and you change yours to $3.09. Well, you'll probably get a few more customers, maybe, or maybe change yours even down to $3.05. Imagine if like you could automatically just change the price to meet your competitors, across the way. That's what repricers do. So they're really cool. They really allow you to step away from that part of your business. You still have to manage them. You still have to make sure you know what's going on with them. There's a lot more to that subject I could talk about. All right, so that's kind of a brief overview of some of eBay and Amazon. So which one do I prefer and why? And let's think about somebody who's a beginner. What would they do on these 2 platforms? I want to delineate between somebody who just wants to go on and sell a few items around their house. That's one person. And then there's somebody who wants to go in and make a side hustle of reselling. They want to have ongoing sales, ongoing income coming in, and so on. Probably 5 years ago, I would have said this a little differently, or I might have had a slightly different opinion, or had a different opinion about this. But I think that if you are someone who wants to go on and have a side hustle of reselling each month, even with the extra cost and so on, I think Amazon allows you a much simpler way to do that. And the reason I say that is because on the surface, eBay seems very uncomplicated without this FBA option that Amazon has, right? You can just go on eBay, throw the crap up you got around your house, sell it, make a few bucks, and that's that. And there's nothing wrong with that. But remember, I said this is somebody who wants to go in and make an actual recurring income. So I remember several years ago in the YouTube community, there was a lot of debate, and there's probably still debate about this, but there's a lot of debate about the concept of the fast nickel or the slow dime. In other words, is it better to make $5 today or $10 tomorrow? And at the time, as an eBay seller, I tended to side with the slow dime mindset, because my argument was eBay does not have a lot of, once you've purchased the items for eBay and you're storing them if you're storing them in your house, which you can store a decent size eBay inventory in your house. Lots of people do, even with bigger items than you think. We stored 12 or 1,300 pair of jeans in a small 10 by 10 bedroom, and we had room. We could have put more in there. But eBay allows you to go on and store your inventory. And once you pay that initial cost, you're good. Like you're not paying additional fees. Like you have an eBay store fee, but it's not a crazy amount. And your sales way more than pay for that each month. And it's not really a lot of cost of ongoing cost for eBay once you've sunk your inventory cost is. And I thought you can hold out for a better price. Like let's say like back in the day, I would have a pair of jeans. And I'm like, this pair of jeans sometimes sells for $25 a pair. pre-owned. But right now there's like 6 people selling it for 15. Well, I could drop my price to 15 and make very little profit on it, or I could wait and try to get that $25 sale that comes up once every 3 months, let's say. And I would usually wait. Because of that, I didn't turn as many jeans as some people did, but I turned them for more profit. I used to think that was the better way to sell. And thus, I would say to beginners, I would say eBay is easier because once you buy this item, as long as you list it, you can't let it sit there in a death pile, right? But as long as you list it, you've got it up, you're going to keep making sales every day, every week, every month. You're just, even if you don't source anymore. I don't think that way anymore. And I'll tell you why. Because what changed my mind was a very well understood concept when you run a retail store. Retail stores, for the most part, I'm not talking about your super high-end stores that sell very high-end luxury brands that sell for a lot of money. I'm talking about your run-of-the-mill stores. I'm talking about your big boxes like a Target or Walmart. I'm talking about your second chance stores like your Marshalls and Home Goods and Sierra and all those guys, and even thrift stores as well. You make your money with turns. You make your money by turning your inventory over and over and over. And a turn is defined as, let's say you buy 100 units and then over 3 months you sell 100 units, right? Let's say you didn't buy any more. That would count as one turn. So in other words, every 3 months you would turn your whole 100 unit inventory. Stores make their money by doing that. Now they turn it at all different prices, right? A lot of these retailers, they're doing markdowns, they're doing special promo sales, they're doing Black Friday sales. I mean, they're doing all kinds of stuff. But you got to turn your inventory. And the reason you do that is because you need cash flow. Now, a lot of these retailers sometimes will borrow money to buy new seasonal lines, but that applies for like even hard goods too, not just clothing. You need that cash flow coming in to continue buying inventory, because some of your inventory that you bring in isn't going to sell anytime soon. Some of the inventory you bring in, you sell it at a much lower price than you thought. Some of you sell it at a loss. I saw that when I was a store manager at Gap. I mean, our cost of goods, our gross profit was at max 47%. And that's before our operating costs. And that's if we sold it at full price. And we sold very little at full price when I was a store manager at Gap. Now, that was many years ago, but I doubt that's changed. You sold a lot of stuff at like the margins were thin, guys. I mean, they're thin, but you're turning volume, you're just turning your inventory so many times per year that this is where the fast nickel is better, in my opinion, and why Amazon wins. Because while you're sitting there and you're turning your one item once every 3 months, every quarter, I am turning it every month. And even though I'm only making like maybe half as much in profit as you are, at the end of 3 months, I'll actually have more actual profit dollars in my bank account. Margin is great. Return on investment is great. Profit percentages are great, but you can't spend a percentage. You can only spend an actual dollar. So Amazon allows you, this is what's crazy, guys. And I didn't totally believe it till I've started to see it with my own inventory. I'm actually turning my own inventory about once every 2 months. I think I can get that down to once every month. And I know people who do. It's hard, but they actually are turning that amount of units per month. That's a crazy amount of turns. Like 12 turns in a year is a lot of income. That's a lot of income, man. I would question if there were any eBay sellers who turned their inventory on pre-owned goods, maybe some new things, maybe. But it's hard to get 6 turns in a year like that. I mean, that's turning your inventory once every 60 days. That is not easy to do. So I just think that that's the reason why Amazon kind of wins out there. So Mark says he still sells jeans and they're easy to list. Yes, I agree with that. Rake and Profit in the chat. What's up, man? Thank you for the super chat. Miss you, bro. Put this up. Miss you, bro. Hope you and the family are living the life the fullest. Keep on picking and making that money. I love Steve. He's so awesome. I was thinking about you today, sir. Yeah. So I think that like if you guys really want a business that will, if you really want a business or a side hustle, whatever you want to level you want, that will put money in your pocket, I think Amazon overall is a better tool. Now, that comes with a few caveats. You can go broke selling on Amazon. I would never say anything different than that. And what I mean by that is you can buy too much inventory. You can have too much inventory. That'll make you go broke. You run out of cash. You can have too much inventory setting in warehouses that's not selling, and they're eating you up with storage fees, or you're selling items for too low an amount to where you're not making any profit on it. And so, because you got your revenue, and then you got your cost of goods, and then you got your operating expenses. And then after that, hopefully you have some profit left. Well, if the operating expenses or the cost of goods are too much, there won't be any profit left. And the profit, even out of that, comes like your taxes and all that good stuff. So Amazon can definitely suck all the money out of you. And I've seen some of that in the last couple of months myself. I've been in a ramp up phase, so I knew that was going to happen. But I think October is going to be a pretty profitable month for me. But I'm plowing everything kind of back into inventory now because I want to get sort of a critical mass of inventory in there to where I can sustain. Like it's like, I'll give you an example, guys. Like I'm going to show you something. Let me see where my, this is, so you can, I don't know if you can see this or not. Let's see if you can see that. Maybe right. Gosh, it's so hard with this camera. This camera is not good for these kind of close-ups. Okay, it's not wanting to do that. Well, that was a weird thing. Well, if you could see that on my seller account, it would say 248 units sold this month. So I'll have to look at my actual amount of inventory right now. I have 353 offers, but I have more units than that actually probably available because some of them have multiple. Call it maybe 500. That's probably about right because there's still a lot of singles in there. So with 248 units sold this month, I mean, I don't remember ever selling that many on eBay. Now, I was not a huge eBay seller, but to sell 248 units a month, and these are higher dollar items, guys. Like I'm not talking about selling a bunch of $10 items here. I mean, that is, let's see. So my sales coming into today. Yeah. So I'm selling on average selling price of $43 an item right now. So those are not like low dollar items by any means. And that's actually about where I'm averaging the last 2 or 3 months. So to sell like 250 items a month, and the month's not over. I mean, it's going to probably push 300 by the end of the month. I mean, I know there are eBay sellers out there that sell 300 items a month, but how many of them sell $343 ASP items a month? It's a small number. And I'm not comparing myself to anyone else. What I'm trying to get across to you is like Amazon is about volume. They want you to move units. And if you can do that and you can play in their sandbox and say, I'm going to send the units in that are great ranks and move quickly and have great sales velocity and are gone. And Amazon, you send it in and they get their fee for, somebody buying it and they charge you and boom, you're done. You don't have any storage, Charlie, you're gone. And this is Q4. So obviously it's, the selling is getting ramped up, but it's hard to sell like 300 units a month on eBay at like a 40 some dollar ASP. Like that's, it's a 12.5K month. There are people who do it, but to do that, like you have to be sourcing items that'll sell for $43, which, there are plenty of items that do that, but getting enough of those that are on eBay, like you'll have to get a lot of newer items usually to do that. Or you're selling, I guess what I'm saying is to have a business where you're selling that many units at that high a price on eBay is really difficult. So what ends up happening is I'm turning a lot of fast nickels here. Now my profit margin might not be as high as it would be if it's on eBay. Like I'm sure it isn't. But it's hard to do that. Paul Beagle is here, and Paul says, "Look at Paul, man, crushing it. My eBay 90-day total is 78,285 for 699 items." Yeah, so that's a let's see what are your numbers here? So 700 items. So 78,285 divided by, we'll say just 700 to make the math easy. So Paul is selling $111 items. All right, Paul. So what are you selling? Without giving away all your secrets, that's a fantastic ASP. And I would say like Paul is probably in the top in terms of ASP and sell through. I'd say that if you had a number to combine those two on eBay, he's way up there in terms of how high he is. We do a lot of sports cards. We own a card shop. Okay, that makes sense. That's like an easy thing to ship. It's a known quantity. Like the card market, has been around for a long time. There's a lot of ways to get those. I'm no expert, so Paul, correct me if I'm wrong, but there's a lot of ways to get those cards authenticated and graded and so on to make sure they're legit. And then at that point, like the person on the other end buying it knows that they're getting what you say you're selling them. Paul's probably not going to thrift stores and finding $111 baseball cards or football cards, although he probably has, but he's got to go through some to find them, which I get. So, but that's a tremendous ASP. So good for you. And that particular unit, like if you have that knowledge and access to those types of sources, and you own a card shop, so he's getting cards coming in, I'm sure, which is cool. That makes sense too. I think like an eBay store with I don't know about you guys, but like I think an eBay business with a store attached to it has a lot of value. Like if you've got a store where people are bringing things in, like at a card shop, for instance, you have the potential to just really kill it. Because I would think at a card shop, Paul, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, but I know a little bit something about this because a few years ago, Ben, Karen's son, had a lot of baseball and football cards. He had a couple of the Tom Brady rookies, I think, in there probably. And I don't remember which card it was exactly, but he had a bunch of those. And we found a local guy who owned a card shop who came and bought them all, because I would have had to go through thousands of cards to figure all that out. And it's like, I know there's some monsters in here, probably some really great ones, but I'm not going through thousands of cards. I don't know anything about this. It's going to take so long. I'm going to pass over things that were good. It was worth it just to get, and I'm sure he made quite a bit more than $800 on it. The two or three Brady rookie ones we found, I think, were around 150 each. So I don't remember which ones they were. But yeah, like having eBay and then having a store attached to it. If you have like a companion business, like Pete, the Craigslist hunter, he does that. He's got his, I don't know if that store is consignment, pawn, thrift. I'm not sure his exact business model, but that allows him to bring things in and sell them online too. Because the reality is your local market might not be able to absorb a particular item, but that's the beauty of eBay and Amazon. They open you up to the whole world of shoppers. They're not just your little neck of the woods where prices and demand are not the same. So that can be incredibly valuable. Like you find little niches like that and use a competitive advantage. But yeah, I've always been interested in cards, Paul. True story here, not to get too far off the beaten path, but my parents, they got rid of my football cards from when I was a kid, Paul, and I'm pretty sure I remember seeing the card. I'm pretty sure I had duplicates of Joe Montana's rookie card, which is a nice valuable card. If you don't know, I'm sure I remember seeing the card. It was probably, I think it was Topps, but yeah, they got rid of them all. And I'm like, thanks, Mom and Dad. I didn't want to like pay off my card or anything. But anyway, I think that let's look at some of these questions. Thanks for the questions, guys. Moonshine Fuel says, I would personally like to see how one can scale as a one-person entity. So that's a little bit beyond that's a good question. I have a lot of thoughts on that, Moonshine, like what I've been doing to do it. It first starts with a decision in here that you're going to do it, that you have to have belief in a system that you're using to do it, and then go execute. So it requires deciding to do it, believing in the system that you've come up with or that you've been exposed to and someone else has shown you, and then going and executing it. So those three things have to be in place first. And then in terms of the tactics, which I guess is probably more what you're asking about, I want to do a video about starting an Amazon business and what it takes. Like, how much money does it take? What subscriptions and tools do you need? What should your mindset be? We're just talking about, because there's a lot of things there. It's not as simple as eBay. That's a negative for a lot of people on Amazon, and one of the things that turns people off. Yeah, Landchart Picker is saying, would it make more sense to focus on a niche like I did with jeans? Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. I've changed some of my thoughts on that. Like right now, my mindset is I'm doing a lot of OA buying. Like 70% of my inventory spend every month is OA items, online arbitrage, and about 30% is RA. But I don't go very deep in anything that I buy. Now, there are people, and there's tons of YouTube videos you can go find that say this. You'll find some hot doodad toy game item, blah, blah, blah. And they'll just go crazy deep into it and send them in Amazon and just sell them all. That happens. 100% that happens. And when you do that, you can make a killing. Like, I know I've got one friend who he was telling me about an item he had, I think last year. And he just went to it was at home improvement stores, and he was going and finding this item and just buying everything they had. And he made, in the space of about 6 weeks, he sold about $100,000 worth, which is crazy. Sold it all, like sent it in and made good profit on it. I don't know what its profit margin is, but it's probably 25%. So, 25K in 6 weeks, not bad. But it's partly knowledge, but I also don't have the experience to feel like I'm competent enough to do that, to say, that's a great deal on that item. And yeah, I would normally buy a few of them, but today I'm going to buy 100. I know that there are items out there that I'm going to come across like that. I did find something recently. I found a shoe brand and a particular model of shoe that was pretty pricey, but it sold for a lot. I think I've ended up buying about 25 units of it. I think I've sold almost all of them, and they all sell for like $100 or more. Some a little less, some a little more, but around about $100 average. And I probably paid about $45 on average for them. So, I'm making like $25 a unit probably in profit on average. Some of them sold for like $130, $140, $150. Some sold for like $90. Actually, I guess my average selling price is probably a little higher. It's probably about $110, $115. But yeah, I'm making $25, $30, $35, $40 a unit. And I bought about 25 of them. So that was good. I bought the first batch, like a smaller batch, and they sold. And so then I went back and got all of them. And that was kind of a risk of capital, but looking at the numbers, and again, this goes back to, deciding to become educated about the one man or one woman model you do, the numbers told me it would work. There was no reason to think that the price would tank. There was no reason to think that a bunch of people would jump on the listing. There was no reason to think that the brand would suddenly try to restrict me. There was no reason thinking. Now, there's another pair of shoes these were shoes. And there's another pair of shoes from another brand that I recently bought 7 of and spent about $300 on. And they also were a higher end shoe. They went restricted, and now I would have to have a manufacturer's invoice to get ungated in that brand. Good times. So those are going to have to probably go on eBay. and I'll probably break even on it, maybe. But as a one person show, you absolutely can do it. Like, you've got to also, it helps too if you can just keep pushing money back into the business and not taking too much out for yourself. That was a big knock for me with eBay. I really couldn't get much traction because I was having to use money to live on as well. And that's hard. Like, if you've got your 9 to 5, keep it. Don't let it go if you can avoid it, and build your reselling on the side until you get to a point where you can make the leap to quit. I would tell anybody that. Let's see what else is on here. Sadie says, I also like cards, preferably rolled up aces over kings. I feel like that's a Rounders reference, and I like it. What's up, Mr. Sadie? Good to see you. Look at the cat drawing. Yeah. Fiona says, I've used the Amazon, but I find eBay really easy to use, enjoying so far. I don't disagree with that one bit, Fiona. I think eBay is easier to use than Amazon, and I think that is still a major selling point for eBay, is that you can jump on, list things, sell things. It's, once you get it, it's pretty simple. Simpler than Amazon, I think, in a lot of ways. I just think that it's harder to scale eBay. Like, if you're going to scale as a one man or one woman show, Amazon's your way to go, in my opinion. Like, eBay can be done, like with Paul, and he has, some specialized knowledge in a situation with cards. That's great. That's amazing volume. But that's kind of the exception rather than the rule on eBay. I'm telling you, when I went to my reseller meetup group 2 months ago, guys, and they called up on stage all the $1 million a year plus sellers. And it was a big hotel ballroom. I would say, I don't know how many people were in the ballroom that moment, maybe 150 people, maybe 200. There was as many people on stage as there was sitting down. It was crazy. And I went, all right, this Amazon is a thing. That was like one of those moments for me when I went, I believe now. Like, you've proven it. Like, these people aren't all lying. They're not all in on this. They are truly $1 million a year plus sellers. And most of them, I don't know if I'm correct. I would say the majority of those people on stage, if they have employees, it's maybe like one, or maybe it's somebody in their family. If that, there are some that have a few, but these aren't like, 30-person businesses for the most part, 20-person business. This is like somebody who went out and, hired 2 or 3 stay-at-home people to help them prep and ship or buy for them, if it's OA, or to shop for them if it's RA. I mean, and even then, a lot of them were still one man, one woman shows, or maybe 2 people at max. It was crazy to see, guys. Like, I was like, all right, you sold me. Like, the proof's in the pudding, Let's see what else is there. Wendy says, Amazon refunds so generously. Do we lose out if they do? Yeah, you can sometimes, Wendy. It depends. Like, if the person says the item was, I don't know all the ins and outs of the refund policy, but if the person makes certain claims about things, I think Amazon ends up, because Amazon can't, like, if the person keeps the product, it's not like Amazon can refund you the product. Sometimes you can get a reimbursement for things that are damaged by Amazon and are shipping issues. But if the person just keeps it, for instance, it's iffy. I'm contemplating even having all my Amazon refunds sent back to me instead of Amazon deciding they're sellable and putting back in the, because I think that's creating some issues. And when you got clothing has a significant number of returns, and Amazon's saying, oh, this item hasn't been worn, it can be resold again, when really it can't be. If you're smart about what you buy, you can't beat the sales velocity of Amazon. Yeah, I totally agree with that, Land Shark Picker. It is, the sales velocity just crazy. I mean, I've just seen it with my friends and so on. I've seen them just sending in items like, thousands of an item and selling out in a month. It's just crazy. Like, you would never sell that out on eBay, like, ever. It would take you years to do that. eBay, Amazon is just a whole nother beast. And I saw it when I worked for them too, because, it was all about getting items in and out of the door. That was it. Like, that's their business model, their logistics. They're getting an item from here to there. And that's their business model. So they reward that in sellers. Gary and Gay are two amazing people, aren't they? Yes, they are, Paul. So Gary and Gay are two of the leaders of the Amazon Seller Tribe, which I'm a member of, and I was referring to the event I went to in Pennsylvania. So they're good people, and their mission is to create the most 7-figure sellers on Amazon of any group organization or any seller group or anything. So, and they're on their way. Moonshine Fuel says, I can only scale eBay so far. I realize that my profits to scale. I realize that I utilize my profits to scale in a different area. Yeah, so I mean, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like you can pull out profits and stick it into a real estate investment or a stock investment or a business venture. I mean, so many ways. You can put it in a retirement fund. I mean, so many things you can do. Selling $1 million can be deceiving, but it is a nice goal. Yeah. And, that's funny you say that, Mr. Sadie, because, if you sold, I mean, would you rather be the person who sold $1 million, but only kept 1,000 and the person who sold 10,000 and kept 2,000? Well, you'd rather be the person who sold 10,000 and kept 2,000, right? Because you're twice as well off. So I definitely think that you're right that sales itself is not indicative of success, but you can only be so successful if you're doing small volume, like on not just eBay, but on Amazon too. If you're doing small volume on eBay, you're actually on Amazon, you're probably worse off than you are on eBay because Amazon is a bit more expensive to sell on. So those fees, like, this is the way I look at it. Like say Amazon has a 15% fee on, I think is that their VCF fee? I can't remember the exact total. And say you only sell $1,000 a month. Well, that's $150 and you're only left with $850. And that's before all your other costs. That's huge. But if you're selling 100,000 a month, it's 15 grand, but you still have 85,000. It's like, all right, I can probably squeak by here with that 85K and making the rest. So, some of these things that you have to spend money on mean very little once you get to higher amounts. But they like subscriptions. Subscriptions is a great one. And there are definitely some things you have to subscribe to if you're an Amazon seller. I think to really be successful on the platform, it's almost impossible to sell on there without some of these subscriptions. And those subscriptions seem very expensive to a lot of people, but that's because they're starting at zero. If you're starting at zero, and I told you, between your OA leads list each month and your Repricer and say Inventory Lab, maybe keep a subscription, maybe a few other things, like it's going to cost you $500 a month in subscriptions. Let's just say you're like, whoa, $500, that's a lot because you're starting at zero. But if I told you it's going to cost you $500 a month and you're going to do $10,000 this month in sales, you're like, well, that's 5%. It's not it's not nothing, but it's not as big a deal as if, you're doing bigger volume. So that's part of it too, to remember. Everyone has their niche. Got to follow what's best for you. Josh says it's more expensive than FeeBay. Yes, for sure. Like Amazon is more expensive than eBay or FeeBay, as he says. But Amazon is definitely more expensive to sell on than eBay. I would argue, and I bet you could prove this, but if you took similar items and looked at sales velocity and the amount you would sell and the profit margins and so on over, say, a period of time, you took this item and you said, all right, if I sell, 500 of these on, how long is it going to take me to sell? Well, it's not 500. Let's say, how long is it going to take me to sell 100 of these versus 100 on eBay? What's my time to do that and the amount of expense and what money you'll have at the end? I think you're going to have more with Amazon because you're going to get the money faster. Like, don't forget that, that goes back to like the inventory turns. If you're turning your inventory faster, you're putting more dollars in your pocket each week, each month, each year than if you are going slower. Because remember, time is running out for all of us. You don't have infinite time. You don't have any more time than anybody else in like a day or a week or a month. Like it's finite, right? And you don't know how much you have. So getting the money getting money now is better than getting money later, for lots of reasons. So I would just say, waiting too long to sell things that's a reseller failure that a lot of us have had. I've had it before on things like, I can hold out. I was talking to a guy, I've been talking to this guy on Facebook lately, and he's in one of the groups, and he's like, yeah, man, I just don't ever like sell anything that I'm never going to make less than 30% on. And I said, so do you ever sell anything less than 30%? He's like, no, I keep my repricers set up that high. And I went, whoa, dude, you need to like adjust that. Because if you don't adjust that down, like say you could sell something at 29% return. Would you do it like to get the sale? Of course you would, So it's like you need to find a number that sort of works for you, like a percentage there, like a percent you won't go below. But at some point, like even just getting your cost of goods back is useful, right? So, looking at things like that, it's like you got to keep turning that cash flow so that you can turn it into another item. It's almost like stock trading, where you go buy $1,000 of a stock, and then let's say it moves sideways for a month, and you can't really, you don't make anything on it. Are you better holding on? In some cases, you might be, but a lot of cases, if you're a trader, not a long-term investor, you might be better off pulling money out and deploying it somewhere else where you think there's a better opportunity. Money just sitting there is costing you something too. It's opportunity cost. It's like you've sunk money with Amazon, you've sunk money, or eBay, you've sunk money into inventory, and it's just sitting there. You can't put that money into other inventory until you get it back out through a sale. So you got to move your inventory to make these businesses work, I think. How far do you think you can scale up from here with Amazon, knowing what you know now in your personal situation? Good question, Moonshine Fuel. Full disclosure, this is something I don't know if I've ever really said it on camera before or not, so hope you're prepared for this. I am lazy. What I mean by that, other than what probably you think I mean by that, which is probably true too, but I don't want to spend 60 hours, 70 hours a week working in a reselling business or anywhere. I have done that in my life before, and it sucks. I don't believe in hustle harder. I believe in hustle smarter. I think you hustle just hard enough to make your life better, because what are you doing all this for if you're working so hard? Like, what's the end goal here? Is the end goal to work more? Is the end goal to spend more time behind a computer screen or in a kiosk or in a cubicle at work or behind the wheel of a truck, if that's your job, or in the classroom if you're a teacher? No. The point of all this is to have time to do the things you want to do with the people that you want to do it with, the people you love and care about, and love and care about you. So I think I only want to get it to a certain level that I think, will I go higher or lower than that? I don't know. But I know that for me personally, I can see getting up to say 300,000 a year in sales on Amazon as a one person. I might source out the buying maybe of OA. I know I can easily do that. It's just going to take a little time to keep, returning capital back over. 300K a year in sales. If I'm netting, say, even 25% off of that, I don't know, what is that, 60, 75K a year for a business that is not even full time, gang. Like, you're not even, like, you don't have to spend 40 hours a week to make a $75,000 a month or a $75,000 a year salary on Amazon. Could you? Of course. But it's not a direct correlation of the amount of time you spend in it equals more money. Like, that's not actually true on Amazon from what I've learned so far. Now, you have to spend a certain amount for sure, and you have to learn certain things. But as you learn, I've been finding like I'm getting faster and more efficient at doing things. It's not taking me longer. I could spend more, but just pushing more time into it doesn't get you more results. Like with OA buying, for instance, it's just a matter of list and leads and going through a bunch of them and selling them. They come in, the stuff comes in, it's over there it's over there. You can see some of it over there now. I package it up and ship it in. Done. Like, it takes how much ever time it takes. If I was doing a $300,000 a year business on eBay, pre-owned clothes, no way, Jose, not going to do it. Like, that would be a ton of time. Like even just thinking about the amount of time, like I just showed you, like I'm probably going to sell around 300 units this month on Amazon. Let's divide that out. Let's look at the prep and ship time. Let's say I was selling 300 units a month on eBay. That's roughly 10 units a day, right? Every single day of the week. So every single day of the week, you're going to have to spend the time to go in, find your items, package them up. Maybe you've already packaged it, but you still spent the time. You just spent it earlier. So let's say they're not packaged right now, and you're going to package and ship all those items and take them to the post office or have the post office pick them up, or UPS, FedEx, however you send them. How long is it going to take you? Like those 10 items, I don't know. What would you say the time sink is there? 3 minutes an item, 4 minutes an item? That's 30 minutes a day. Every single day, you're going to be spending packing and shipping items. Every single day. And that's not even counting the customer service time. It's not counting the time it took you to take photos, yada, yada. I mean, I got really fast with jeans and got down to where I could do a pair of jeans in 5 minutes, a listing. But that's because we had it really down to a science. There's other items that would take a little longer than that. I don't want to spend 2.5 hours a week sticking stuff in a box. I just don't. So instead, I'll package up 150, 200 item units for Amazon that are going to sell over a whole half a month. And I'll package all those up and prep and ship all those over the course of like 3 hours. I'm done. Then Amazon worries about all that crap. Like I've got to package them all up one time, but they all go in like, 30 go in this box and 20 go in this box. It's not like I got to print off 30 different labels and deal with 30 different customers and potentially have 30 different, returns I got to deal with. Amazon's dealing with all that. Like it's just time, man. I mean, I just don't want to sink that much time into it. It just gets ridiculous after a point. It's like, what am I doing this for? And every minute you spend in your business, your hourly rate goes down, not up. That's the hard part, I think, for a lot of people to grasp here. You're in business. You're not punching a time clock. Like when you go to work at a job and you work more hours, you get paid more, assuming you're not salaried. But if you're an hourly employee and you work more hours, you get paid more. That is not the same in reselling. The more hours you work, absent more profit and more, revenue, you're actually making less money. Every time you touch an item, you make a little less on it per hour. Every time you have to deal with a customer's question, you make less on that item or less on some item. Every time you do anything more than once, you lose. So I just think that like a $300K a year business on Amazon, was it 25,000 a month or so, somewhere in there. That's definitely doable. And I think it'll be, it's a decent income. It's not a world beater income. Now, will I want to scale it to 400 or 500K? I don't know. Maybe it's doable. I mean, I could do it with OA alone. I don't even need to go the RA route. So anyway, sorry, that's a long answer to your question, Moonshine Fuel. What did Sadie said? I follow a reseller that does 400K. We'll do 400K this year on eBay. He has 30,000 listings. Oh, dude. His COGS is a 50-cent average, which is virtually free. He's a one-man show, and almost all of his inventory comes from the bins. More power to him. God. I mean, it's possible that this person has some ridiculously good set of systems, and they just are super efficient. But I can't see like 400K a year. I don't know what his average selling price is, but with 30,000 listings, let's assume he's selling, I don't know. So 400K is about 30-some thousand a month. He's got to be selling 1,000 items a month, right? More than 1,000, probably. He's probably selling 2,000. Like that means he's got to source 2,000. That means he's got to photograph and list 2,000. Like I don't know if you guys remember this, but years ago, for those of you who follow me for a long time, we did a video called Listing 100 Jeans in a Day. Kaaren and I did. And we streamed for like 10 hours that day. And it took us that long. And we had taken about half of the photos already. So it wasn't even really completely all in that one day. Dude, it's a lot of work to sit there and think about, like, if he's selling, let's say he's selling 2,000 items a month, this person, this boring reseller life. Oh, like, I don't even want to think about the amount of time to source 2,000, even at the bins, 2,000 items. Think about the math. That is almost 70 items a day, every single day that you got to get. And you got to list 70 items a day, every single day. I mean, that is more than a full-time job to me, it sounds like. I don't know how much time he's spending on it, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's 60 to 70 hours a week. And, you know, probably mathematically, he's doing great. But at some point, here's the problem with that business, unless he's a one-man show. If he stops working, it all stops. Like, it's all him. So what happens if he's sick for a week? Yeah, I mean, or a month. You know, stuff's going to keep selling, but like, it'll start dwindling. Like, he's bought himself a job, and there's nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying it wouldn't be my dream. He's got at some point think about maybe outsourcing some of that, just so he can have some time. Like, what are you doing it all for, man? Like, what are you going to spend that money on? Like, if you don't have any time or energy to do it because you're so busy making it. Yeah, so crazy. Sadie says you look defeated just thinking about it. Me too. Yeah, I mean, the math of it, the math of sourcing and listing and selling, that means every day. I don't know if my 2,000 units a month is right, but it could very well be. It could be more than that. That's not even 10% of his inventory every month. But let's say it's only 2,000. That means every single day every single day, not taking any days off, he's on average finding 70 items, listing 70 items, photographing 70 items. He's also packaging and shipping 70 items every single day of the month. No days off, which I don't know if his bins is open every day. So maybe he's buying more on certain days, but it doesn't matter. It still all averages out. And he's probably buying some days, but I mean, I would pay somebody to package and ship and photo and list. 2 people would knock out all that, and it'd be worth it. You'd still make a killer in profit. Yeah, like you can package up and send 2,000 items to eBay or to Amazon you theoretically could do that probably in 2 days. And you're done. That's it. It's done. You've sent it in. It'll sell. And could it all sell in 30 days? Yeah. Shit. If it's the right items, you could sell it in a week. And you're done. Like, that's because, the advantage of Amazon is that, you buy one of an item or eBay, a lot of times you have a lot of one-offs. Like, the bins are a lot of one-offs like that person's doing, which means he's probably got duplicate listings. I'm sure he's got efficiencies. I'm sure. But a lot of times you're having to recreate work over and over and over. With Amazon, it's like, oh, I'm going to buy 10 of these from, the Terra site and send them all in Amazon. Boop. One listing. I don't have to create a listing. It's already created. I just say, yep, I got quantity 10. I'm pricing this. Boom, print out 10 labels. Done. Send it in. Over. I just think, it comes back to your why, everybody. Like, why are you doing these businesses? Why are you selling on eBay? Why are you selling on Amazon? If your desire is to just grind and grind and hustle and hustle and hustle, you can do that. But a lot of people who watch my channel are a little bit longer in the tooth, like some of the people in this chat right now, including me. You're probably at a point in your life you don't really find that too appealing. You'd rather spend your time doing other things that are much more interesting and I would argue much more fulfilling. So that's where Amazon comes in. And I think, you can build a business on there that doesn't take all your time. I have a friend right now, somebody who, I don't want to say his name because some of you might know him, but I don't want to say his name because I don't know if he wants me telling this or not, but he is doing the Amazon gig. Him and his wife are doing it. He's employed at least one of his daughters now at this point. And he told me recently, and he's doing over $1 million a year on Amazon. So it's basically like 3 employees. They might have another family member too, but he started with just him. And now his wife's doing it, his daughter, and then they might have one other family member. But his plan is within the next 12 months, 24 months, he's going to outsource all of the things of his business: the buying, the prepping, the shipping, the handling, any sort of behind the scenes stuff, all of it. Not theoretically, really, he and his wife will be able to run $1 million, probably $2 million a year business by that point in like a couple hours a week. I mean, that is crazy. I don't know what his margins will be, but at $2 million, hell, even if they're 10%, he's netting 200,000. And he will spend none of his time working in it. And there's people that I know like that they have outsourced themselves. You can't do that as easily in eBay. It can be done, but it's harder because the volume just isn't there. Amazon can give you that. I don't know that eBay can give most people that. It's very difficult. And a lot of people, if they died tomorrow, their eBay business would die with them. And that's sad to say, but it would, because they're everything. Amazon can take all that off your plate, which I find very appealing, because I don't want to be sitting here 10 years from now prepping and shipping units in this 100 square foot bedroom. Sorry, I got off a little tangent there, but Josh says, I follow his channel. Looks like every square foot of his home has inventory stacked up. He's dedicated. Yeah, he is, man. And again, please don't think I'm putting this person down. The boring reseller, I think somebody said his name was. Not putting him down at all. That's a tremendous accomplishment. But I think at some point he's going to wake up and go, what am I putting all this time and energy into this for? What do I want out of it? Just the reward of I did something? That's cool too. But after a while, you kind of usually want something else. Deb says, I don't want to spend my life working all the time. I miss FBA. Well, come on back, Deb. It's there for you. Hasn't gone anywhere. Deb and I've been talking about her business a little bit offline too. So, which, by the way, if any of you guys want to talk about your business offline, I am more than happy to do so. I like talking to people about their models and what they're doing with theirs and learning things from them. And because I learn way more than I ever teach anybody else. So hit me up on Facebook, or you can always send me a message through my emails on the channel too. So his ASP is about $13, but he charges shipping. Yeah, I would not do free shipping with that model. If only we had a graph or chart. What's up, everyone? James Pace, how are you? So James is doing good volume. So I don't outsource, but wished I could. I have 65,000 cross listed. Good money though, 30K a month. So James is a big. I think that's all. Is that all eBay, James, or you Amazon too? I can't remember. But James has been a good size seller for a while now, if I remember correctly. So they are out there. It's like any other business. There's a few people who stack up at the top in terms of their sales and revenue and so on. But there's an awful lot of people who stack up at zero. And that's kind of the way it is with a lot of things. But, most people are going to be way down here. And what keeps most of these people down here from getting higher up, maybe they wouldn't ever be up here, but they'd be somewhat higher, is preconceived notions that aren't correct, lack of follow through, a defeatist attitude, things like that are what it is. It's not, people will say, it's money or it's I got this or that happened. Like all that stuff can be overcome. It's like, but the stuff inside your head, that's the stuff that'll either make you or break you. James says mostly Amazon for his stuff, but all of it's merchant fulfilled. Yeah, it's funny you say that, James, because I was talking with some sellers a couple months ago at the Seller Tribe meetup, and a lot of them were telling me stories about, especially when Amazon was having a lot of issues fulfilling. This is how crazy Amazon is. They were saying, Amazon is having all these issues fulfilling orders. So FBA shipments were getting pushed back. Normally people order it and they get it. Sometimes you get it the same day. Now Amazon was like, oh, it's going to take us 2 days or 3 days or 4 days or a week. So a lot of people were switching to merchant fulfilled, even FBA sellers. And what they were doing is, and maybe you did some of this too, James, is some of these sellers were going into stores and finding items that were great merchant fulfilled items, right? They would buy them all and literally list them like as they were in the store walking back to their car. And by the time they got home, they'd all sold. So they literally just went home, took the items, put them right in boxes, and right to the customers they went, because they're doing merchant fulfill, not FBA, and shipped them. I was like, wow. One seller was talking about, he bought like 75 of this one item, 75 units in one store, and he said by the time he got home, they'd all sold, every single one of them. So he just printed off all the labels and threw them in all the right size boxes and gone. So that's how crazy Amazon is. Like, it doesn't even make sense. Amazon does get special shipping rates. It allows them to be more competitive. They get more shipping rates to the customer, and they get discounted shipping rates for you, the FBA seller. So if you're an FBA seller, I'm paying a little more now because I live on the coast, which sucked. But when I lived in Charlotte, I was paying about 35 cents a pound on average to ship to Amazon, which is really cheap for those of you shipping rates. So, I could ship $100 worth or 100 pounds worth of items, and it's $35. So because could I charge? That's one of the ways you make money on Amazon. A lot of people don't realize that. So I can ship 100 pounds to Amazon for $35. If I shipped 100 pounds of merchant fulfilled orders to customers, that would, just like through regular shipping through UPS or FedEx or UPS or USPS, that would cost me way more than $35. That would probably cost me $80, $100, $110. And yes, I could potentially, get some of that back from the customer, but it's a wash at best. So a lot of times, it's just cheaper to ship into Amazon one time than dealing with a whole bunch of little shipments to customers and collecting all that. Or I could list the items merchant fulfilled for free shipping, and just charge a bit more. But you just break even at that point, where Amazon gives you an actual break on it, which helps. Do you think the herd will thin with the new tax rules? I think a lot of small sellers will go away next year, but I may be wrong. I don't know, Sadie. I mean, it's hard to know what any of this is going to look like over the next 12 months. And in terms of taxes and rules and so on, I don't know what the hell we're doing. I give up. Trying to figure it out. I feel like there's nobody in charge that has our interest at heart, our best interest at heart. I saw a great meme the other day. They said, one side complains about greedy corporations and one side or corrupt corporations, and the other side complains about corrupt politicians. And then the bottom of the meme said, don't you realize that there's corrupt corporations that are funding corrupt politicians? I'm like, that's pretty much it. That's who we have in power, and that's what we've got today. And because of that, little small businesses like ours are an afterthought. They don't really care about most of us. You could be a little small Amazon seller, not even small, $1 million a year, $2 million a year, maybe you're employing 4 or 5 people. You are not on any politician's radar, not even close. You're not on any policymaker's radar. you have no influence, you have no pull. So the way I would always approach it is whatever happens with tax rules and laws and regulations, you're either going to come out neutral or you're going to get screwed. It's almost never going to go in your benefit, in your direction. I know that sounds very negative. I know some of you guys don't think I'm a negative person. I'm not a negative person, but I'm also a realistic person. I've just seen too much of it in my life. I have no reason to believe that it's going to change anytime soon, because all of us who are electing these people just seem to think our guy or our girl is doing great, but everybody else's sucks. So we just keep putting them in power. And because we keep doing that, we keep getting what we've always got, which is just a mess. So who knows? Have you heard of eBliss? It's a fulfillment for eBay and Poshmark. I have not heard of that hustle, man. I do not know what that is. So yeah. Man, I can't believe I went this one. Well, listen, guys, hit the like button and hit subscribe if you want before you leave. If you haven't already subscribed, I'm trying to get a little more regular with my Amazon videos, my reselling videos, but it helps when you guys tell me that I'm doing a good job. So I will be back soon to do some more of these, but I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Thanks for hanging out with me. And, if you got any questions offline, feel free to hit me up. I'll be glad to help if I can. All right, everybody, take care, and I'll see you soon.